Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pit Stop July 2022 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your mind. What's rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? I'm Mark Cashman, Senior Product Manager on the Microsoft 365 marketing team, here to set the ongoing record straight. And to help me this month, I talk with Kristina Hotz, who is Principal Product Management Lead on the Microsoft Identity and Network Access team. She is here to discuss for you and with us the new Microsoft Entra feature known as memberOf, also known as nested groups in Azure Active Directory, that's now in public preview, aimed to give you easier ways to manage your dynamic group membership. Beyond the breadth of nested groups and access management, we'll focus on everything that landed this month, a few related items, and the always fun teasers looking into the depths of next month. This podcast is your 30 minutes to stay ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. Okay, it's time to kick back and get informed about all the technology that rolled out in July 2022. First up, employee engagement. Those large, broad features that help you communicate throughout your organization. And what better way to communicate than with this first new feature? First up, you can now record a new video through the web-based Stream Start page. Microsoft 365 customers can now make demos, explainer videos, or just videos that you want to post into a chat to one of your peers within Microsoft 365 using the new Stream camera operation. You can now go to the Stream interface at stream.office.com and create videos that are just you. You can record your screen. You can add in elements like ink, text, backgrounds, and use filters. And all the while, once you create it, it gets put into your OneDrive for use to then share from there. So just head to stream.office.com, select the new recording button to get started. Once you're done and happy with your video, you can go directly to a Teams chat, a Yammer community. You can share it in lots of different ways. The video file, in essence, is now just a video in your OneDrive, ready to share as you would any video file throughout your intranet. One note, once you complete the video, it gets stored as a .webm or WebM file within your own OneDrive for work. Lots of great things to create and use video as a great messaging tool throughout your intranet. Second up is also a Stream feature. Now within Stream on SharePoint, there will be a video collections page. We want to make it easy to gather and display all videos from a SharePoint site in one place, and then make that a tab in Teams as the entry point to all those videos. Whenever people create a new site, the service auto-generates a new static layouts page for video collections. This is a collection of all videos from the site's document library. And for now, in order to access this new page, all you need to do is add a whack_layouts, whack15, whack video collections .aspx. I'll put it in the show notes and on the related blog so you can see what that looks like. But it's basically a few forward slashes in a very specific location where this new video_collections.aspx page lives. Once you know that and you can get there, you can then edit and publish this page as you would any other SharePoint page, and it will start to appear in the site pages as well. And as it becomes available as a tab using the SharePoint or the Pages app in Teams, this is simply something that, like any other page, you would go to your channel, click the plus add a tab button, use the SharePoint or Pages app, and then select that page. It's very easy to add any SharePoint page to a Teams tab, and now you'll have a page specifically designed to highlight your video collections that you've put or have within that SharePoint site. Now, this last one for employee engagement is more for the governance and privacy-minded admins out there. And it's a little bit of insight so that when you start sharing externally, you'll know a little bit more of what the recipient will see. The SharePoint and OneDrive external sharing one-time passcode emails will now come from no reply at notify.microsoft.com. In order to improve reliability for delivery of the one-time passcode emails that are sent as part of the external sharing flow, we'll be updating the sending address from these emails or for these emails from noreply@sharepointonline.com to now read noreply@notify.microsoft.com. This change should result in improved delivery reliability. Think about this as a more trusted domain so that fewer of those share emails will end up in people's spam folders. And of course, for better transparency for all customers and their partners and for you as you start to share externally from OneDrive and from SharePoint. Please note that if your organization is using Azure B2B integration with SharePoint in Microsoft 365, this change will not impact your organization. Also note that there are no other emails sent from OneDrive or SharePoint that are being changed at this time. Things like newsletters, internal sharing. This is primarily for a change that we're making for recipients of external sharing links. Next, it's really time to drill into what I highlighted in the beginning. It is now time to talk to Kristina Hotz about the new feature, what we call nested groups, and technically is a new feature within Azure AD called memberOf. So let's take a moment and talk to Kristina. So let's take a little bit of a pause and get behind the scenes, really behind the cloud. This is one of the elements that really, in my mind, is one of the big elements that runs the cloud, or it runs how you access the cloud. I'm really pleased to bring in Kristina Hotz, who is Principal Product Management Lead on the Microsoft Identity and Network Access team, short form of Go Azure AD Go. Kristina, welcome to the Intrazone.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Can you just start off by giving a sense of who you are, the team that you're on, the areas that you focus on for Microsoft?
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned I work within the Identity and Network Access team, and in particular, I work on Azure Active Directory. And my team is on point for three main things. So first off, we work on a lot of identity and access management experiences for end users. So things like the My Account page, myaccount.microsoft.com, or the My Apps page, myapps.microsoft.com, where folks can go and see all of the web apps that they have access to within their organization. The second thing that my team works on are admin experiences. So how to admins manage their whole identity estate. So that's our Azure AD's integration with the Azure portal, as well as that brand new Microsoft Entra portal as part of that Microsoft Entra announcement that just happened around RSA time. And then finally, the third thing that my team works on is Azure AD groups. So cloud security groups, M365 groups, the Graph APIs, and all of those management experiences, hopefully your listeners know and love.
The listeners do know and love, and they are here to learn more. And I think you framed it. Your team covers pretty much everything of how they get into the cloud and then how do they see what they have access to in the cloud, which is pretty broad. You mentioned Microsoft Entra, which, if I understand it correctly, is kind of an umbrella level of what we're really here to talk about today. Just for the audience's sake, and I will be transparent for my sake as well, can you just give a little bit more flavor on what the Microsoft Entra brand means, and anything you can add to what it means for you in landing what we'll talk about today?
So the Microsoft Entra is our new product family that encompasses all of Microsoft's identity and access capabilities. So it's really the gateway to all of your identity and access stuff. So Entra includes three product families, like I mentioned. There's Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, and then there's two others. There's Microsoft Entra Permissions Management and Microsoft Entra Verified ID. So permissions management is really a recognition that customers have a lot of identities and resources across a variety of clouds. So Microsoft Azure, of course, we hope, and then also things like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud Platform. So what permissions management does is it lets you see and control all your permissions for all your identities in all those clouds. And we just announced GA earlier this month. And then the third product is that Microsoft Entra Verified ID. So that's built on top of decentralized identity standards. It's a lot of cool new stuff that lets you create and issue those identity credentials. And then to bring all of this together, we've got our new admin portal, entra.microsoft.com, and your listeners can go there right now and check it out and learn more and see all the products.
So to narrow in a little bit of the excitement of this month, the public preview, can you give us a sense of what the feature is and where it fits in? I know it's a new feature within the Office 365 groups, now called Microsoft 365 groups, and this notion of a nested element. With that, can you give us a sense of the little history of groups and where this new feature fits in and kind of what it is?
So when we think about groups, we often think about two different types of groups. So there's the M365 groups that are used for collaboration. So these are your teams, your Outlook groups, really how you work and collaborate with other folks. And then we've got the second set of groups called security groups. And those are just a flat list of identities. And identities could be people, they could be applications, they could be devices. And then these groups are generally used to give access to something. And then for both of these groups, you can either have the membership being assigned. So that just means a person or application is manually putting identities in and taking identities out as the needs change. Or these groups could be dynamic. And for a group to be dynamic, it means that there's a rule that's processing that decides what the membership should be. So for example, we've got groups here that are all full-time employees at Microsoft in Washington State. And then as people move in and out of the state, they're automatically added and removed from a group. So you can see that concept of a dynamic group is really, really powerful because a human being doesn't need to remember to add and remove people from a group. It's really hands-off, really lets you manage at scale.
Yeah, I can just picture if somebody who's listening, their eyeballs just went, you mean I have to manage less? And probably over time, it's more accurate to the design of who we want to have access to a variety of things. Yeah, I can see that. I think that the dynamic nature of what's been available playing into what is now the ability to have what you might manage just in smaller segments from different groups of people or different levels of access to some application. So the what's rolling out now in public preview, I don't want to think of it as a simple thing because I think it's a super powerful thing, but the memberOf and the ability to nest. So starting with just what can you first nest when you nest a group within a group? What is possible and maybe even how does it work?
memberOf is essentially just a new rule for making dynamic groups. So now we've given you the power to say, I am going to make this group and I am going to base the membership off of these other two groups. So group C is based on the membership of groups A and B. And it's pretty cool because you can make an M365 group or a security group, and then you can quote unquote nest either security groups, M365 groups, or if you've got an on-premise Active Directory and you're syncing groups up, you can even put those synced groups inside of that new dynamic group. And one of the reasons that this is so cool is that it's using dynamic groups. So let me explain that for a second. So on-premise for years, people have been literally putting groups inside of groups, like actually nesting them. And that means that when an application looks at the group and looks at the membership, it needs to know that it's a nested group and it needs to go and traverse that tree in order to find all the members of that group. So since an M365 group has never supported nesting, a lot of applications wouldn't understand that they need to go and traverse this tree in order to find everybody that's inside all of the groups. And that's really where the magic of memberOf and the magic of dynamic groups comes into play, because now we can create a group based on a rule. So now when the application says who's in this group, we just return a flat list, and it just looks like any other dynamic group. There's nothing special about it. So instantly we get backwards compatibility with all of the applications and all of the M365 services that are used to using M365 groups today.
And at this particular milestone, public preview of this new capability, any insights? You just mentioned something that to me sounds like, we are ensuring that the speed of the getting permissions, as it routes from somebody signing in to check and then back to them, we maintain, just a great experience, but also the value of dynamic and the nesting. Anything as you've moved from, I'm assuming, private preview to public preview, and now in the middle of public preview where you're starting to see feedback, in what you've been working on, now publicly available to try. Any early pieces of feedback, just to give a sense of during public preview what you're listening and hearing?
Yeah, so I think the biggest things are things that we sort of expected. So because it is a public preview, we're only supporting 500 memberOf groups per tenant, and there's a quota of 5,000 dynamic groups per tenant. So a lot of customers are saying, hey, I want more than 500 of these. If I want all of my dynamic groups to be memberOf groups, let me do that. So we've definitely heard that feedback loud and clear, and we're working really, really hard to improve our scalability there. The other thing is just around creating these groups. We've got a rule builder UI in the Entra portal and in the admin portals, and we just don't support the memberOf rule in that nice UI framework yet. You have to actually go into a rule builder and type it out yourself. So we're also working on the feedback there, so that way people can just use the user interface in order to make the groups. And then the biggest piece of feedback that is going to take longer for us to address is that customers are asking to just use memberOf like they would any other rule. So right now, memberOf can only be used on its own. You've got a memberOf group, you use it to make dynamic quote unquote nested groups. But they want to be able to say, I want to make a group C based on group A and B for people in Washington State only, or for everybody as long as they're not guests. So being able to create those more complex rules is something that customers are starting to ask for now.
Good. It's nice that this is, impetus for them to be able to ask those questions, because without the capability, you may have still gotten the question, but you wouldn't have had a pathway to say, oh yeah, certainly we will take that into consideration, and that will be an update, not a thing that we may, release in a couple of years. And I think it's a wonderful spot to be in, because I know with the SharePoint team that I have worked with for many years, a lot of things start as a PowerShell script, and then they move into the admin UI. And, there's still value for both. But to be able to do things a little bit more simply, in a more centralized location, and something that everybody can address, sounds like you're getting the right feedback. And of course, the most important thing is you're taking the feedback. I'm excited for this feature. I'm excited to see, your outcomes as you get to that point where you're locked on what plans are to move from public preview and beyond. But for now, celebrate this milestone. Congratulations to you and the team. And thank you for your time on the Intrazone.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I can't wait for people to try the feature and send us all their feedback. They can hit that give feedback button right in the portal, and we'll read it.
You just heard a lot of great insights about Microsoft Entra All Up and the new memberOf nested groups in Azure AD, now in public preview, which means try it now. So as we move into the teamwork section of this Roadmap Pit Stop, I wanted to start out by calling out a few key resources that are now available for you to review and learn more about nested groups, or just to get a sense of how to use them. First is Kristina wrote a great blog called Create Nested Groups with Azure AD Dynamic Groups. Great insights, and of course, a lot of a better way to understand what is this feature and what is the benefit of using it. There, of course, are a lot of help articles specific to the feature, or if you want to learn more about Microsoft Entra all up, there's a great disclosure blog by Joy Chick, and the title of this blog is Secure Access for a Connected World, Meet Microsoft Entra. And with that in the blog, I'll also put in a really great video that Joy and Vasu Jakul is a CVP of Microsoft Security. They did a video called Step into the Future of Identity and Access with Microsoft Entra. Together, I hope you'll get a really good understanding of what this new feature is, what Microsoft Entra is, and of course, we want you to start to try it. So go as an admin to entra.microsoft.com. This is the admin portal for security and access management. And then be like the birds. Decide how you want to bundle your security and Microsoft 365 groups together and get nesting. Next for teamwork, and I've got two that are Microsoft List related. The first one is you can now create Power Automate flows from the built-in ready-made Microsoft List templates. That sounds like Peanut behind me is having a dream about Power Automate flows with list templates. Yeah? She can't wait. She's so excited. She's dreaming about these flows that will help remind her of all the dog bones she's buried in the backyard. So lists come with ready-made templates, and some of them are getting a real boost. To help improve automation of information, your information, you now have the option to install pre-created Power Automate flows whenever you create a list from select list templates. We're starting with 3, the Work Progress Tracker, Content Scheduler, and the Recruitment Tracker. When you're using these, you'll be prompted to install the included Power Automate reminder flow as the list has been created. 2 notes on this one. The reminder flow is an automated flow that runs on a schedule in the background, so it does not appear in the lists menu, but you can further refine it using the Power Automate Flow Designer. Second note, people with the Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 license or a Power Automate per user plan can create and use the reminder flow that's included within these select ready-made list templates. A lot more information here to get started of how you can create a business application from a list template, of course, using these flows or any other. If you have access to create flows, you can continue to create flows with the existing integration. This just saves you a click and does it by default within the template itself. So I promised that there were 2 list items. The second one is a good one, and I think it's one that people have been asking for a little while. Now within Microsoft Lists and within the calendar view, you can use conditional formatting to help add color to your calendar views. Now we hinted at this one in a previous roadmap pit stop when we talked about dragging and dropping list items from the unscheduled pane. Of course you can still do that when you're in calendar view. And now you can better customize the calendar view by color coding those items or any other, even if they are already assigned and scheduled, based on certain conditions and rules. You manage the rules and the coloring within the Format Current view that you'll find in the top right section of Calendar View. Imagine the title of an item appearing green when its status is marked as complete, or it shows as red when its status is marked as not ready. Or if you have a scenario for managing social content on a publishing calendar, you could have varying colors appear for a blog or social video asset as it goes through review, approval, and on to publishing. Colorizing your calendar views so that you can more visually see what the content state is based on scheduling and planning. It really does bring your calendar views to life. And one of the features, like I mentioned, we've been hearing a lot of feedback on. And it's really great to see the team delivering on what you're asking for and also just up-leveling it, how visually you can make your lists appear, now especially in calendar view. Last, for our teamwork section, one that refines how you can collaborate more efficiently with distinct roles within your content creation process. For OneDrive and SharePoint, we now offer review mode for Word documents. When sharing a link to a document, you can assign someone to review mode in the share dialog box by using the new Can Review option when you're setting permissions in the permissions dropdown. That recipient will then have access to review the document, to make edits with track changes already intact, and if they want to or need to, leave comments. Document owners, you in this case, or other collaborators who have full edit permissions, can then approve or incorporate any suggested changes to the document or not. That's the beauty of it. Great access for your reviewers with limited power, the power to review. And with that, let us move on to related technology. I wanted to kick off the related section with some recent related Viva news that came out of the Microsoft Inspire show, much of which I encourage you to review in full by catching up on the special breakout session that's now available on demand that was delivered by the Microsoft Viva General Manager, Seth Patton, and Viva Senior Director, Angela Byers. This is BRK32, aka known as the Enable Digital Employee Experience with Microsoft Viva session. I'll have a link that will take you right to view that. It's a really great 20 to 25 minute video of all things Viva. But I wanted to highlight a few things here, especially that we're talking roadmap. This is a little bit down the roadmap, but not too far. The first big news item was Viva Engage. This is the newest app in Microsoft Viva Suite that's designed to help people and teams to be their best, to have a voice, and feel included in the workspace. Viva Engage brings together people across the organization to connect with leaders and coworkers, to find answers to questions, and to share their unique story of how they belong and work at work. Viva Engage builds on Yammer and brings together Yammer experiences like communities, open conversations, and personalized discovery. I'm going to leave some of the discovery up to you to watch or read blogs, but I also wanted to include for you some of the part of this bigger announcement. I pulled some audio from the BRK32 session to share with you right now. You'll first hear Seth Patton, and then there's a voiceover from the sizzle video, and then we'll round it out by hearing from Angela Byers giving some more details. So here's more information and audio about Microsoft Viva Engage.
Today, I'm extremely excited to announce Microsoft Viva Engage, the newest app for Microsoft Viva, which will start rolling out to customers next month. Viva Engage is a powerful new Viva app that enables people and organizations to connect, share, and express yourself. Let's check a sneak peek of Viva Engage in this video.
Human connections are a key ingredient of an engaged and successful company culture. Yet, building relationships in a world of remote and hybrid work is a challenge. So how can you create a sense of belonging and purpose for employees? Enter Viva Engage, part of the Microsoft Viva Employee Experience Platform. Designed to connect people across your company through conversations, communities, events, and open sharing. With Viva Engage, your employees can have discussions with coworkers, build and join communities, get answers to their questions, share their unique stories and interests, and find belonging at work. Everything from connecting with company leaders, to sharing best practices with first-time managers, to creating a place where pet lovers can show off photos. Viva Engage strengthens relationships and helps build a culture of involvement in today's hybrid and remote environments. And because it is part of Microsoft Viva and Microsoft 365, it's integrated into the apps and services companies are using around the world to empower people and teams to be their best.
Building upon the capabilities of Yammer and a Communities app for Teams, Engage unveils new experiences to bring people together. Using digital communities, virtual events, rich conversation tools, Viva Engage gives everyone a voice and a chance to shine as they are. It empowers everyone to connect with their leaders and coworkers, find answers to questions, share their unique story, rebuild or build new thriving relationships, and find belonging at work.
For us here at Microsoft, it's very exciting to disclose a new app, not something we get to do every day, and we can't wait to get it in your hands soon. As noted in the longer video, this will start becoming available late August of 2022 with planned completion by the end of September 2022. So more about that when it really starts to roll out as a roadmap pit stop item, but as a nice peek ahead coming out of the news of Microsoft Inspire. Up next, Microsoft announced the GA date, general availability for Viva Goals, and that is now in the past, August 1st, 2022. So if you want to check out and learn more, go to aka.ms/Viva Goals and look back into your feed because we just dropped a new episode of the Intrazone where we talk with Viva Goals leads Lucy Hitz and Kevin Shively. So look for that episode, look to learn more about Viva Goals, and learn how you can help manage your objectives and key results for individuals, for teams, and throughout your organization. Next up was the Viva Sales announcement. We are introducing Viva Sales, which is a new seller experience application that brings together any CRM, Microsoft 365, and Microsoft Teams to provide a more streamlined and AI-powered selling experience. The past 2 years have changed the way we work. Employees are demanding more from their employers in today's hybrid world, from tools that they use to the hours and places that they work. And for sellers, the hybrid work environment means spending more time in video conferences, chats, email, and documents to connect with customers and close deals. And Viva Sales is trying to help you accelerate the discovery and the blending of all this information. It's a great new asset, especially if you're a seller in the field. Use it to save yourself a lot of time and to make a lot of those customer connections. Last thing for Viva, we announced an employee learning API for Viva Learning. With this API, customers can discover content from any learning management system or learning provider in Viva Learning. And in the other direction, some of our learning management system or learning providers can use the API to display courses on Viva Learning, just like any other of our pre-integrated learning partners like SAP, SuccessFactors, Skillsoft, Coursera. It really just widens the opportunity to have more learning available and aggregated inside of Viva Learning. The Employee Learning API is now in the Microsoft Graph, available in public preview. And to round out Microsoft Inspire beyond Viva, but some exciting announcements from a general availability perspective. The Microsoft Teams Connect shared channels, which we've talked about before on the Intrazone, have now reached general availability. Microsoft Teams Questions and Answers has also now reached general availability. And one bigger news item that's not yet available, but it's certainly in public preview, Excel Live. This was announced as a new way to transform meetings around data analysis in Excel during the meeting. Excel Live. So Excel Live will be available in public preview at the end of August, so coming soon, but it was an important announcement at Inspire and one that seemed to get a little buzz and a lot of interest, so I thought I would include it here had you not heard. With Inspire in the rear view mirror, I wanted to highlight another event, mainly that we now have a date for Microsoft Ignite 2022, and that is October 12th through the 14th, and that it'll be a hybrid event approach. There will be a global broadcast as we've been doing for the last few years. Plus, there will be some live elements in Seattle at the Seattle Convention Center that will have limited space, and we'll have more to share in August about that. Plus, there will be some regional spotlights in France, Germany, Japan, Latin America, and in the United Kingdom. It's going to be a big show with news and announcements, best practices, learning and sharing opportunities, and more. You can today visit ignite.microsoft.com and register, which essentially will put you on a mailers list so that you will get notified as soon as there is more information to share in the mid to late August timeframe, mostly about scheduling and ways that you can register for a number of the different opportunities. One note that there's also a load of insights in the now public FAQ for the event. So if you go to that same site, ignite.microsoft.com/get-help, you'll find all the FAQs there. Follow all the action on Twitter at the @ms_ignite. and we'll share more details when we can on the Intrazone as we learn more over the upcoming episodes. So, one last item for the related items. I know this has been an extended section with a lot of the news coming out of Inspire and some of the excitement now building for Ignite, but this one's really a heads up. There will be no more wiki in Teams. None that are there by default anyway. So, DJ, how about some of that baseline to help me with this section of the roadmap update? So, we're making some changes to the wiki experience. Microsoft Teams will soon disable auto-provisioning of wikis for new channels. Starting in August 2022, wiki tabs will no longer be provisioned by default when a new or private or standard channel is created. You can add new wikis as tabs in channels at any time. It will still be available in the channel store experience, but this also will not impact existing wikis. They're not going to just disappear on you. Why wiki when you can SharePoint page or use a OneNote notebook? That's both a question and a heads up. That's it. Consider yourself notified. Wiki out. So let's move on to the near future that's just around the corner of your calendar. Here are 2 teasers for what's coming in August 2022. Teaser number 1, I'm kind of teasing this one again. Microsoft lists commenting in iOS. I'm teasing it again because we hit a slight delay to deliver this on time, but it's coming next month instead of this month. Teaser number 2, meeting category insights coming to the Viva Insights app in Teams. The more meetings you have as an owner of the meeting, the better insights you'll get so you can have better meetings in the future. Teaser number 3, since the first teaser was a re-tease for clarification, let's add a third one. And it's about Microsoft Viva Insights again. Microsoft Viva Insights app in Teams is getting a whole user interface refresh. You're going to see some things that maybe were buried a few clicks in, up-leveling a lot of activities as things come in as real-time information. And of course, we'll save a lot more information for next month. That's it. That is the peek ahead into August 2022. A lot more information next month. Last thing before we close out, I did also want to include 2 corrections. The Outlook RSVP options update that I mentioned last month has been canceled. Instead, it's getting a user interface update to be more consistent when you accept or decline a meeting and add a message back to the meeting owner if you choose before sending your reply. The Outlook RSVPs that I mentioned are being canceled, but with this new UI update for how you can reply back is being tracked with a new roadmap ID 88535. And the second and last correction, Stream on SharePoint, the inline playback of videos in the Hero web part, hit a 1-month delay and will begin rollout soon. You can track this one, same roadmap ID 93351. We've added some learn more links per feature, plus a list of important resources in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech community published to the SharePoint community blog. I hope you've enjoyed this roadmap pit stop. Pump the brakes. It's time to relax, knowing that you're all caught up. And it sounds like Peanut is done dreaming, so all is quiet on the dog bed front. If anything still leaves you scratching your head, open questions or concerns, please send us your thoughts and comments to the Intrazone at Microsoft.com. We're here to put our and your best change management foot or paw forward. This is Mark Cashman saying happy Inspire memories and dreaming about Microsoft Ignite on the roadmap ahead.